Yeah, how do you put someone in jail and you don't even name the clients? That sounds kind of insane. There was a lot of people that met with him and did business with him and traveled with him after he was arrested.
Names, last names, area codes, it's okay.
Who created this book?
Epstein.
We're so grateful to be joined by Jeffrey Epstein survivor Annie Farmer. Annie, thank you so much for taking the time to come back on the show.
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions.
Epstein tried to invite Joe Rogan to his island, and Joe Rogan declined. Long before any files were released, billionaires, government officials, tech CEOs, and celebrities surrounded Jeffrey Epstein. But the one person who always knew something was wrong was Joe Rogan. From details of what was in Epstein's secret black book to exactly what went on inside his Lolita Express private plane, Joe Rogan is now talking about everything that the FBI failed to redact in the Epstein files.
Hey guys, it's G Reacts. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're right back with daily consistent content. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, take 1 second, hit that subscribe and like button. It won't cost you anything. Let's get right back into this video. You know I don't like to hold y'all. Let's go.
Have an understanding of how things are really working than ever before.
Yeah.
Right.
Like this Epstein file thing, right? That was a big eye-opener for a lot of people. When you see how many people after 2008, after he was arrested, after he went to jail, were actively taking money from him. MIT took money from him and tried to hide it and said to make sure that any donations from Jeffrey are listed as anonymous. So you find out like
Disgusting.
people are like, they referred to him as Voldemort, like you couldn't say his name.
Wow.
There was a lot of people that met with him and did business with him and traveled with him after he was arrested, after he went to jail.
Do you spend a lot of time reading them?
No, I try not to. I try to have experts come on. I try to read. You can't change it.
Yeah.
And it'll with your head.
Yeah, it's
like
toxic.
You will really get.
It'll stick with and I know I've tried not to.
Yeah.
In a recent episode of his show, Joe Rogan revealed that back in 2017, one of his guests, Lawrence Krauss, a theoretical physicist, tried to invite him to meet Jeffrey Epstein. This is also present in the recent file release. One of the emails between Jeffrey Epstein and Krauss, Jeffrey Epstein was trying to get an intro to Rogan. He said he thought Rogan was funny. The email reads, It is wild, like Damascus. How are things? I saw you did the Joe Rogan show. Can you introduce me? I think he's funny. Krauss reached out, but Rogan wasn't interested. Epstein followed up with, if he wants, Rogan can have dinner with Woody Allen on Friday. Krauss later replied, sorry about Rogan so far. He seems more timid than I would have thought. At the time, Jeffrey had been convicted on sexual charges, but at the same time, he was still regularly partying with some of the most powerful people in the world and going out and emailing with the likes of Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Prince Andrews, and even Jay-Z. Joe knew right away that something was wrong because Alex Jones had actually predicted this was going to happen years ago. Somehow, Alex Jones knew what was happening on Epstein's island and his private plane decades before his conviction and before any of the files were released.
I'm in the files for not going.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm in the files for not going because Jeffrey Epstein was trying to meet with me.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, and I was like, what?
I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Aren't you glad?
Yeah, but I would have never went anyway. It's like, it's not even a possibility that I would ever went.
But
especially after I Googled him. I was like, what the f*** are you talking about? This was like 2017. One of my guests was trying to get me to meet him. I was like, you high? Like, what the f*** are you talking about?
For what reason would you? What would be...
If I was a guy who was like sucking up to the rich and powerful, if I was really interested in hanging out with rich and powerful people.
You know, it's crazy. That's so crazy. But yeah, some people
get intoxicated by being in a circle of rich and powerful people, even if they're not, like, they don't even have any ambitions of being one of those people. They just want to be around them. They want to be around Nobel Prize winners. And because this guy what he was doing was very clever in that he was getting all of these very powerful and very respected people together.
Yeah.
And you would figure like, oh, it's
if
safe.
That guy's there, if that lady's
Clinton's
there.
here. This is fine. Clinton's here. How could this be bad?
Yeah.
Look, it's Steven Pinker. How could this be bad?
Yeah.
You know, he's a genius. Like, and so you would go, I would imagine, you would go to these, because there's people that went to these, like he had parties in New York, like he brought in celebrities and comedians. Didn't Louis Black get invited to one of those? I think he's talked about it. I know Chelsea Handler went to one of them. It's like he would bring all these people in, and he'd like to be around famous people and entertainers and a lot of intellectuals and professors. And Noam Chomsky was famously deeply involved.
The only reason Joe was able to stay safe was because of Alex Jones. Years ago, on his show, Alex Jones had actually told Joe all about Epstein. Joe explained that Alex Jones kept insisting something dark was happening on Epstein's island, claiming it wasn't just a place for rich people to party, but a hub where powerful figures were being compromised. According to Alex, Jeffrey Epstein was collecting blackmail material on rich and powerful people by inviting them onto his island and filming them in compromising positions after drugging them. By 2017, Jeffrey had already been convicted of sexual assault. So the fact that billionaires like Bill Gates were still meeting up with him says a lot.
It seems very dark.
Very
because
dark.
It seems like it was this bizarre blackmail influence thing that was going on for a long time.
So
A
long.
long time.
Through different administrations. That's what's so unbelievable about it.
Yeah, when you really sit and look at it, like it was like the Clintons administration, all the way up to Trump's first term. It's this he started these practices back in the 80s, which is very alarming. Drop it in the comments what y'all think about that. Let's keep going.
How long it was going on.
This is where the story takes an even darker turn, because why was Epstein even collecting blackmail material in the first place? And how did he get access to these powerful people? Being close friends with both the Saudi and the British royal family isn't an easy task. And let's not forget that President Bill Clinton was also photographed with Epstein. Having access to these circles shows that Epstein was placed there. The only question is who placed him. Joe Rogan thinks that it's highly likely that Epstein was an asset working for a foreign government. It was his job to collect blackmail material. And they were the ones funding his billionaire lifestyle. His private jets, private islands, and properties all over the world. How did Epstein afford all of this?
Let me just get real and say,
if I gun to your head, what do you think your best assessment of what Epstein, who was Epstein, who was he working for?
well, I don't know, right? So I'm just guessing. Everybody wants to say he was working for the Mossad. He very well could have been. He could have been working for the CIA. He could have been a guy who was on his own, but also working with them, right? Like a guy that they used, but they never fully endorsed.
Like an asset?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a guy who could move money around.
Right.
He definitely...
Good at laundering money.
The moving money around stuff was very weird because he had money through no way that anybody could ever explain.
Yeah.
He had an enormous amount of money through no way that nobody could ever explain. Which, you know, if you're state funded, you're funded by Israel and Israel's funded by America, and, you know, there's also NGOs and nonprofits, and there's ways to move money around where you can give this guy money.
Yeah.
So he was like... Weinstein, who is an economist, right? Weinstein's a legitimate mathematician.
Eric?
Yeah.
Right.
So when Eric met him, his first inclination was he was a fraud.
He's a construct.
Yeah, a construct. And did he tell you the whole story about the girl sitting on his lap?
Yep.
So Epstein, while he's meeting with Eric Weinstein for the first time, has a beautiful girl sitting on his lap, and a woman, I shouldn't say girl. He said she was like in her 20s, and she's sitting on his lap, and he's bouncing around, so they're juggling around.
While he's asking math questions.
Yeah, talking serious. So he was obviously nerd fishing. He was fishing for nerds, and I think he caught a lot of nerds in that net. There's a lot of those 100%. Guys that wound up going to that island. They probably thought, this is great. We get to party.
All of this was written down in Epstein's secret black book. Jeffrey wrote down names, dates, and phone numbers of everyone that came to his island, along with a list of the victims they used. There is only one copy of this book in the world, and even after Epstein's conviction, no one could find it. Until in 2009, the FBI found someone on the internet claiming they had it and wanted to sell it. A sting operation was set up, and the video of this operation was included in the latest release. The 2009 video shows Epstein's former Palm Beach house manager, Alfredo Rodriguez. trying to sell a little black book of addresses and phone numbers, claiming it contained powerful people and victims of Epstein to the undercover person. In that same footage, Rodriguez also claimed that Ghislaine Maxwell maintained a database of girls, allegedly including explicit images. This database has never been recovered, and Ghislaine refuses to cooperate with the FBI even after Epstein's death. Just makes you think, what or who is she so afraid of?
Names, last names, area codes, it's okay.
Who created this book?
Epstein himself.
This book was made by Epstein?
This is a video of an FBI sting operation with Jeffrey Epstein's former house manager and an undercover FBI employee from 2009. The Palm Beach house manager, Alfredo Rodriguez, believes he is selling Epstein's address book to someone representing a lawyer of Epstein's victims.
You will see a lot of important people here.
He claims that the book contains contacts of powerful people, as well as Epstein's victims.
So those are mostly underage girls, the numbers?
They were very young.
A source familiar with the case confirmed the video shows the sting operation, which court documents show happened 2 years after the FBI demanded that Rodriguez turn over any Epstein documents. Instead, court documents say he kept the address book and tried to sell it for $50,000.
How are you? Nice to meet you.
In the occasionally redacted 45-minute video of the meeting, Rodriguez implicates Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's close associate, who's now serving a 20-year sentence for of minors.
Ghislaine Maxwell was his former companion, a very powerful lady from England. She would go to the former Eastern countries in Europe and find girls for Epstein. And I knew that because I went with my wife.
Rodriguez also claims that Maxwell kept a computer database of girls, something he said he saw briefly once.
What kind of pictures?
Naked girls from Sweden, from Romania, from Czechoslovakia, from Brazil, from
All
Colombia.
minors? All young girls?
Very young, very young.
Like when you say very young, how young are you talking?
16, 17. The teenagers, they have braces. Most.
Rodriguez provided no evidence to support the existence of the database.
Go ahead and count it. And while you're
The video, released as part of the recent trove of Epstein documents, abruptly ends after the agent hands Rodriguez a bag of cash and says he will call the lawyer.
It wasn't just Epstein's
We deserve to see that book. We deserve for that book to be fully unredacted, and us as they've let out 3 million files, but they kept another 3 million, and we haven't seen this book. Let's keep going.
Where all of this went on. His private jet, the Lolita Express, was also involved, and according to testimonies from the victims, Epstein used to assault while traveling. He would always keep a few girls with him on his plane in case he got bored. The most shocking thing is that everyone on the plane, the pilots, the crew, and even his passengers, all saw it happen in front of them, but they turned a blind eye to it. They covered up for him and never reported any of it. Details about this plane were also in the latest release of the Epstein Files, and mentioned how Epstein would use this plane to fly his guests around. The jet itself shows up repeatedly in flight logs and investigative releases tied to Epstein.
Yes, it
Those
does.
records show that he transported guests around the country and internationally. In one email dated January 7, 2020, with the subject line "Ari Epstein Flight Records," it stated that Donald Trump was listed as a passenger on at least 8 flights between 1993 and 1996. The email claims that on at least 4 of those flights, Ghislaine Maxwell was also present. The document also reportedly states that on one flight in 1993, the only listed passengers were Epstein and Trump. On another, 3 passengers are listed: Epstein, Trump, and a 20-year-old girl, with the rest of that line redacted in the release. Now, to be precise, being listed on flight logs does not, by itself, establish wrongdoing. The records show association and travel, not criminal charges. But the presence of these names in official logs has caused a lot of people to speculate as to why President Trump was even traveling with someone like Epstein. Just yesterday, names of 6 more billionaires that were connected to Jeffrey Epstein were released by the Department of Justice. These names had been previously redacted, and it was only after senators went to the DOJ and specifically asked for the names to be unredacted were they released. How many other names are involved in these files? And why is the DOJ so hesitant to release the information? One tweet about the situation read, "Instead of redacting the victims' names as they requested, the DOJ redacted the predators' names. They were supposed to protect victims, but they protected predators. Another tweet said, "I don't think the DOJ is concerned about protecting the victims. They are, however, very concerned about protecting some of the predators because they are high-ranking and wealthy people with political pull. It's the most ass-backwards and corrupt cover-up in history."
Congressman Massey and I went to the Department of Justice to read the unredacted Epstein files. We spent about 2 hours there, and we learned that 70 to 80% of the files are still redacted. In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congressman Massey and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice, they acknowledged their mistake. And now they have revealed the identity of these 6 powerful men. These men are Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikoladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner, who was labeled as a co-conspirator by the FBI. Now, my question is, why did it take Thomas Massey and me going to the Justice Department to get these 6 men's identities to become public? And if we found 6 men that they were hiding in 2 hours, imagine how many men they are covering up for in those 3 million files.
Joe talked about this on his podcast too, and said that it's incredibly suspicious how no one on Epstein's client list is being prosecuted. The names are right there, and we know that the FBI has footage too. These 3 million files are only 20% of what the FBI has. If they wanted, they could start arresting people tomorrow, but they aren't doing that. These files weren't even being released despite the FBI having access to them for almost 2 decades. Epstein's Black Book was recovered in 2009, but not a single person on the list has been convicted or even tried. Some people speculate that this is because of just how well connected the guests actually are. There are even reports that Epstein was working for Mossad and other intelligence networks. To date, however, no publicly verified evidence has established that he was operating on behalf of any intelligence organization. Those assertions remain unproven allegations circulating in the media and online commentary.
But yeah, I think the public will be rightly frustrated if no one is prosecuted for the Epstein client list, no one at all. Which, no one, at least, I don't know, the top 5 or something, like some number. There should at least be an attempted prosecution of the worst offenders.
Well, particularly if Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail for trafficking.
Yes.
Because, trafficking...
that means occurred.
Right. So she's in jail for it.
Yes.
So,
who were the clients?
Yeah. Yeah, how do you put someone in jail and you don't even name the clients? That sounds kind of insane.
I think, yes, it would... Yes, because...
Just stunning that they've been able to hold it back for so long. It's really kind of amazing.
Yes.
Like when people say that people can't keep secrets, what the f*** are you talking about? Look at this.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of these things are not like... It's common knowledge, but we don't actually have the proof.
Right.
So the proof is there. I mean, there's lots of videos. Yeah. There's lots. I mean, the dude is like a mountain of whenever they raided Epstein's place, there would have been like a mountain of evidence. Where is that mountain?
Right. What'd you do with it?
Yes. Like who took possession of the evidence?
Yeah.
Specifically.
Right.
The individuals.
Where are the tapes?
The only thing that these abusers have faced so far is public scrutiny. Peter Mandelson, the UK ambassador to America, was stripped of his post in September after Epstein emails showed that they had closer ties than the ambassador had initially acknowledged. Then there's Prince Andrew. Virginia Roberts Giuffre alleged that she was tracked by Epstein and instructed to have sex with Andrew when she was 17. Andrew has consistently denied the allegations. However, the fallout was significant. His brother, King Charles, stripped him of his honorary military roles and royal patronages, and he stepped back from public royal duties.
From disturbing photos of the former prince, Andrew, to his alleged sharing of government documents with convicted Jeffrey Epstein. The fallout from the Epstein files once again putting the British royal family into turmoil. Andrew has denied all wrongdoing, but the pressure is now ramping up on the royals to do and say more about their disgraced relative. The Crown under fire.
Charles, how long have you known about Andrew and Epstein?
From
Hey,
King
that's
Charles
a fair question.
to Prince William, shouted at in Saudi Arabia.
To what extent do you think the royal family has done enough around the Andrew and Epstein issue?
ITV also capturing Queen Camilla getting tough questions too.
Do you have a message for Epstein's victims, Your Majesty?
We've never
Yeah,
actually
ask
seen
him.
other members of the royal family heckled to the extent that we have in the last few days.
Epstein might be gone,
Good.
but Ghislaine is still here and has consistently refused to cooperate. The victim has testified multiple times that she was involved in the abuse and helped Epstein control everything. But nothing has been done so far.
As her lawyer continues to press for clemency in exchange for her testimony, something President Trump has continually declined to rule out. How does this all make you feel?
It's honestly very disturbing to see these images of her and have her be looked at as someone who could potentially be providing any kind of information in this case. I mean, she has refused over and over to cooperate with the investigation. She's refused to have, she doesn't have any empathy or has not expressed any empathy or remorse to her victims. So I think it's highly problematic that anyone would consider negotiating with a serious criminal like this. And I think it would just really be indicative of guilt in some way, because we know that she is not a credible source of information.
And you say to her victims, as you know, she has repeatedly said that she had no involvement directly with actually.
Yeah, I can speak, very personally to the fact that that's not true. She was abusive towards me, and there's so many other crimes that she committed that she wasn't even prosecuted for. There were 4 of us that testified at her trial, but I have now met so many women who say it was because of Ghislaine Maxwell that I ended up being, sometimes for years, and that she was at times involved in that herself. So she was a very central figure in this system, and her efforts to minimize her role have not been effective. We've seen in the files that have been released already several places where the emails she sent are contradictory to things she said on the record before.
Just last week, Ghislaine was actually called to testify, but she declined to answer any questions. If Epstein really was working alone, why is Ghislaine so scared to speak out?
Ms. Maxwell, were you a close friend and confidant of Jeffrey Epstein?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Now you care about the
Let the
Constitution.
record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
If you want deeper breakdowns of the files, the timelines, and what's verified versus what's speculation, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll continue separating facts.
Shout out Peeper. Make sure y'all go over there and show them some love. It's your boy Jet Ski G. We back with another banger. Make sure y'all hit that like, hype, comment, and subscribe button. Let's get right into this. With Ghislaine Maxwell, she deserves the penalty. Like, she just doesn't even deserve to be here anymore. From what we hear from all the girls that have said all the things that she was actually the bridge to Jeffrey Epstein. And it's more girls than I can count that have come forward that I'm seeing it, like, and I'm at a loss for words, like, and what the US is doing to hide all this stuff. Elon Musk, when he was being interviewed on the Joe Rogan podcast, he was being very careful with his words. He had some dealings with the US with Trump where he was talking a little bit too much, and then he quieted all that down. And I think in different subjects, he now chooses his words a lot more carefully. But it seems like he was very nervous answering those questions. He was very thrown off answering those questions. But he raised a few very good questions on the Joe Rogan podcast of, if you did storm Epstein Island, I'm sure there would be a mountain of evidence. Where's the evidence? Where's the videos? Nobody's prosecuted. What are we doing? What's the holdup? What Ghislaine Maxwell, she's now been moved to a minimal security prison, and she was allowed to keep her dog with her. She has a dog that she keeps in her cell with her. All disgusting. And Trump has not ruled out giving her a pass to give statements towards everybody else that's in this Epstein file for her to then be able to walk free. What's the chances of that? But I don't think he's going to move too fast for that, because at the end of the day, whose names will she actually end up saying? So with Ghislaine Maxwell, every day that she's in her cell, much like Jeffrey Epstein, I'm surprised that she's actually still in her cell. The way that everybody's moving, the way everybody's trying to hide this and make it all just go away, the way everybody's trying to advise us just to move on. I'm surprised she's still alive. She knows entirely too much. And as far as Jeffrey Epstein's little black book that had the names, the addresses, you know, he was a financial overseer. He wrote things down. I'm sure he wrote everything down. Where's this information? Why is it being hidden? Why did we get 3 million files of mostly redacted material, but there's another 3 million files out there? How? What is the government doing? We pay you to do this. Get it right. You have time. Figure it out. We want the files. So y'all drop it in the comments. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Just more disgustingness, honestly, from the U.S. government. More disgustingness from Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, and we have U.S. ambassadors. We have leaders in the Saudi Arabias. We have leaders from the royal family. This goes to the top of the top, and it spans different presidents. This goes back to Bill Clinton up to Trump's first term. I mean, it's said that this guy has been doing this since the birth of Victoria's Secret he's been doing this since the 80s. So y'all drop it in the comments. Let me know what y'all think about this. I'll be in those comments. If ain't nobody told you they love y'all, you know I love y'all. Also, I'm going to drop another video. It's going to be right here. Click this video right here. I'm going to catch y'all in this video. I'm out, y'all. It's crazy.